What's up, everybody? Welcome to Logic in Charge 22. Well, I got my main man here, my brother from another mother. Today, we're going to cover some things such as 30 million in crack pipes that us as American taxpayers just bought. I mean, hey, fuck it. You know what, Biden? I want mine anyway. That way, Hunter and when Hunter comes to pay us a visit, he has something to use right before I kick his ass. We're going to talk about...
I was going to make $30,000 paintings out of them.
Use them to blow the colors around.
That's right.
Don't ruin the pipe for Hunter. He'll get mad. What else is he going to smoke out of?
Oh, you know what? He might sue me for trademark.
Oh, man. Well, he'd need his laptop for that. The big guy might get upset. But anyway, that's one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about attorney Tom Renz and what he's doing here in the States. We're going to talk about a show on Showtime, something about the whiteness or whatever. It's some bullshit. Sisco wants to hit on the Joe Rogan situation. I mean, y'all already got my piece of that. And then I want to talk about James Cargill again. That bald-headed little fucking fuck. But I'm going to let Sisco go ahead first and let him take the monologue today.
All right. Well, okay. Couple points I want to make on the whole Joe Rogan controversy. First off, I've heard so many different points of view on that in the last couple days that, quite frankly, I'm sick of hearing about it. So I'm going to make this very short, quick, and to the point. First off, to all you blue checkmark tweeters out there, check what you're tweeting on. Slave labor. Just so you know, slave labor.
And enslavement.
Just so you know that. Secondly, to the actual N-word controversy stuff, okay? I feel a whole lot like Tyrus does. You know, first off, this was 20 years ago.
Oh, that man made a good point the other day. Like, well-spoken, it blew me away.
You know what I mean? Like, 20 years ago. And all the other points that he made about using us to further your agenda, Mr. Soros. Yeah.
And he spoke about it compassionately, like
understand
with feeling and
understand that we're not your pawns, and contrary to, you know, stereotypical belief, we're not monotheistic, and we're not retarded.
We didn't grow up on Common Core math.
So, yeah, we're done playing that game. Next.
Oh, well, what about The Rock? I mean, since it goes hand in hand. Dwayne The Rock Smoker Johnson. I bet you he got one of them free pipes.
Look, Dwayne...
Fuck you. Fuck you. Simple as that. You know what? Go back into under the rock and get out from under. We're sick of you too.
Look.
Do you smell what the Hoff is cooking? Fuck you.
You know, entertaining, yes. Am I taking any kind of personal advice from him? No.
Should anybody? Fuck no. He's Hollywood. He's part of the scourge of this earth. You know, and it's because of his propaganda and his ignorance of the truth.
I was going to save that part of it for when we started on the Showtime part, but since you touched on it, Al Sharpton's.
Oh, jeez.
Rocks. Spike Lee's.
What was the other one? James.
I don't know. All I know is we've got a lot of
Jesse Jackson. Yeah, that's it.
We have a lot of race hucksters out there, and we always have. ever since slavery, and then there's always going to be race hucksters out there. But understand this: those of us that are raised right, despite all of the odds, those of us that were born with a moral compass and held on to that moral compass despite
our environments,
despite all of the shenanigans, okay, we see you for what you are. We understand it. And more of us are teaching more and more of us to see you for what you are. And yeah, your job is in danger.
Well, we're gonna stop buying their shit. We're gonna stop going to see their movies.
Your job is in danger. Your job is in danger because we're gonna stop listening by and large soon, because a large part of us have already stopped listening.
And that's why Joe Rogan's the most popular news podcaster, news personality. He's the most popular personality with the most views.
And that goes for race hucksters of all walks of life, because there's race hucksters in every area. There's the SPLC, there's the NAACP, there's race hucksters of all types. And I'm gonna tell you this, all of y'all here in America, your time is short. I see a mass reawakening happening in the West and a return to Christian morality, despite whether or not you believe in Christianity or not. Everyone can agree that that was a major founding of this country.
Yep.
And
will give us guidelines to build upon.
And there's going to be a return to that. Why? Because it's all of y'all that have sat there and denied it. It's all of y'all that have sat there and tried to move society further away from it, that have put us on a collision course with Russia and China, which have impoverished, enslaved, and destroyed the minority houses all across the board. That includes disenfranchised whites. The working class whites, yes, that have been disenfranchised. Why? Because their voices have been silenced over the last 30 years. So, understand, your time is short. We see you. And more than that, we smell you.
I smell pussy. Anyway, like, I'm gonna approach this from a white person's perspective that grew up with the same hardships people that aren't white have. We've shared similar struggles. We've had to choose between bills to pay. Yeah, I may be working class, but that don't mean I'm not struggling. And I could get the public assistance to go live in the projects or whatever. I don't want it. So what part of that says privilege? I got caught up in the war on drugs in the early thousands. All right? The judge told me, "Oh, you're a white boy selling weed. I'm gonna make an example out of you." He maxed me out. And, it is what it is. I made a mistake. I didn't do my rights. But my point is, no matter what skin color I would have been, I would have got them charges. So privilege that right up your motherfucking ass. When I was a kid, I grew up with people from all walks. What made me like somebody wasn't what color they were or where they came from. It was who they are, how they treated, how they walked with respect. And right now we're putting such an emphasis on color that our kids are going to be poisoned from it. And that's what hurts the most. Because the people that these people, the champions of what these guys speak about, the MLKs and the Parks, they didn't do this so we could regress. They didn't do this so we could be at war with each other. They did this so we could go to school together, learn together, and make a better America. And until y'all understand that, y'all ain't fighting for shit. You're fighting to go backwards. And on that show that they asked on Showtime, they said, how do you think these people will be? The one lady was like, oh, they're probably up in heaven smiling and having a good old time because we're taking back our power or whatever, was the sentiment of what she said. No, that's not how they're reacting. They're pissed off, I imagine. They're rolling over in their graves because you're setting us back. Now on to my next point. James Cargill, this little pea-headed fucker, you know, you want to call people like me the problem. You want to call people like me the bigots, the racists, the problem. You want to say we're the ones protesting with violence. But yet, you call for people to come punch people like me in the face because I chose not to get a procedure done. Once again, I'm going to tell you like this, you little pea-headed fuck, come do it. If you're not going to do it, bow down. But point being, if anybody does this, you need to be charged.
Well, look, I think it's absolutely hilarious that, you know, when I was coming up in school, we were taught about a lot of the things that led up to World War II. And a lot of
lies about World War II.
Right. We were taught a lot of lies, but there were a lot of truths hidden in them lies. There were nuggets of truths about how populations were treated, about, you know,
biometrics started then,
about mass formation psychosis. There were a lot of truths hidden in what we were taught when we were in school, that as you got older and became wiser and understood that you needed to, as Reagan put it, trust but verify. In other words, don't trust. Always
question everything.
Question. And you know, he said a lot of, you know, really wise things, such as, you know, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Scariest words ever in the English language, according to Reagan. I would have to agree.
Second that.
So I say all that to say this. You really need to use your slave chip thing here, your little slave GPS tracker here, for what it's truly capable of, and dig. Don't use Google. Use whatever means necessary to find the real information hidden out there about the history of the world, the history of the families that have influenced this world, the history of the powers that now behind
better yet,
doors.
How about this? Tell them to look up who paid for the wars.
There you go. Look at who's backed both sides of every war since the French Revolution.
Actually, before that.
Yeah, probably, but I'm gonna say just since the French Revolution itself. Just look at those players and notice
and their
names.
Families are still alive.
And notice names that repeat over and over throughout the last couple hundred years, all over the world. And understand the type of insidious evil that you are facing, and understand that now They are here taking down America, and they are using unrestricted warfare. Look up what that term means. Unrestricted warfare.
I'll give you a little hint. It means that they turned your president against you.
You want to know how it is that a man who didn't even run pretty much for president, he kind of hit out for most of the time, and yet he got the most votes in history, outshining everybody, including Obama.
I bet you a lot of people got regrets now.
And yet he has direct ties to enemy intelligence officers. And not just him, but his son as well.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a direct contradiction to his position. And understand how that is actually possible when it shouldn't be. And understand just how bad it truly is already. And it's going to get worse because you refuse to pull your head out of the sand and look at what's happening right in front of your face over the past couple years under the guise of a medical emergency.
More like medical tyranny.
And so I'm just going to leave you guys with that and hope that anyone takes these words and just tug at a string. I don't care which. And I guarantee you, the more you pull at it, the more you're going to find you've got to keep pulling because you don't know the half of it.
And I'm sure we don't even know half of it. But they've been fucking with us and experimenting on us probably since at least the creation of the alphabet agencies. At least that long.
Your time to make your own decisions is nearing an end if you don't become a Canadian trucker yesterday.
Ooh, that's another thing I wanted to touch on too. They're talking about bringing that convoy to DC. Beware. FFs. Fabulous Freddy's. You know it's coming. It's overdue.
Stay peaceful. Film everything.
Yes.
These people are masters at deception.
Yep.
And they are masters at turning great grassroots movements into vile perversions.
Atrocities.
Yeah, perversions.
I mean, the idea of BLM is great, but the people that run it weren't. Therefore, if it has their ideology, I don't want no parts of it. I'd rather help build the movement for everybody.
As a very prominent late night talk show host likes to say, pro freedom, pro family, pro liberty, pro America.
I think justice should go before. Justice needs to go in there because at the end of the day, unless we hold these people accountable, bend over and take it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the time to be wishy-washy, that time is gone. Look.
If you didn't start prepping by now, you're just a fucking.
If you want to be wishy-washy, more power to you. May the fair winds guide your back. But I'm gonna tell you now, there's a storm coming, and wishy-washies will end up washed up. So
get your team together, get prepared. But I wanna end our podcast tonight on some good news for once.
Yeah.
Some really good news. Well,
good news.
Here's the good news. Here in the United States of America, we have an attorney, Thomas Renz. I've mentioned him before, probably a couple weeks ago. But this man found the real numbers. He's bringing charges. And he has the receipts to prove it. You know, it's funny how good these guys were at pulling the wool over our eyes and playing with the numbers. But the one place they didn't realize, and I think it's hilarious, is the DOD website. Because that is only dealt with by professional medical people that put all the numbers in there. And from what they put there, this is very alarming. We're going to be going through some wild times, and the strong will survive. At least I hope. But Thomas Renz, he needs our help. We need to call our senators, our House representatives, our governors, and be like, look, you need to listen to this guy. Get a hold of him, talk to him, find out the real shit. And if they're not willing to do it, then we vote them out, cast them to the side, because that means they're against finding out the truth, even trying to look into the truth. And that's the kind of government we don't need.
That's the kind of government we have right now.
And you want more of the same?
We have a government that would leave 9,000 citizens, private citizens, in Afghanistan.
And say it's only 1,000.
That's what we have.
We got a president who was with the war on drugs is now an enabler of drugs. Up is down, left is right. No. We need to get back
to logic,
to our foundation. Because without a solid foundation, America will crumble. And we need to rebuild it. Not with mud and sticks, with cement and rebar. I don't mind putting my sweat. I don't mind putting my blood. And I don't mind putting my bones. If my country will be what it needs to be. And there's another attorney out there, I mentioned him the other day as well, Without You. This guy is Attorney Rainier something. It's some weird German last name. But Nuremberg 2 trials are on in a global court. Right? Now, I just got one question to everybody that says that I'm lying. Right? If I'm lying, how did 2 different attorneys get enough information to start proceedings? That's a real head scratcher. But look, inflation's at 15%. I believe I said that a few months ago too. Feds are gonna up rates. They need to do a full percentage within the next 7 months to even attempt to get the inflation to stop. With that being said, we need to protect ourselves. We need to make sure we have for our teams, our families, and we gotta stick to our guns and hold our lines and not give in, because there is a war approaching, not only civil but a world war, and that's multiple countries on that one. We already know of at least 3 different skirmishes that are going to happen. And then I think North Korea would do something funny. I think Iran would try to do something funny. Why not? We'll be too spread thin. So, get prepared.
Bad people are prepared to do bad things, and they don't care whether you're ready or not. So be prepared for everything.
Food, protection, plan, water, and it's just something that you're obligated to do for your family. Now, I must say one more thing before I'm gonna let Sisco close. There's very few principles that our nation needs to succeed. But until we get the people out of DC, the lobbyists, we have no chance in that ever happening. We can fix it and then it'll go right back to the same. They'll just do it sneakier next time. We need to do term limits. And there is a new bill coming out, an amendment to the Constitution for term limits. We need to get on the horn, people. We need to call our representatives and tell them to talk to these lawyers and get this amendment put in. Because we can only build up with them things in place. That's what I'm saying.
Look, when you came into this world, you came into this world kicking and screaming. And all by yourself. Of course, you had your mom and your dad, your family, your immediate family. And you grew to love each and every single one of them. Each in their own little way. They all had their own little quirks. Things you liked about them, things you didn't. As you got older and you matured and you moved on, they still were your family. You still love them. You're still close to them. Don't spend as much time with them anymore because you're living your own life. Well,
some people are. I got canceled by my family.
A lot of us did. If you were blessed enough to have all of that through the last couple years still, then spend this time tightening those bonds because you're going to need them. And to those that have been scattered, have faith, and in faith, come together and form the same bonds, new bonds, in your faith, and stick together. Only one entity on this plane deserves your worship, and it's not government.
It's not how it works.
Understand you are a free person, capable of making your own decisions. You obey laws because at one point in time they were part of a social contract.
It's more of a social construct.
That contract has been broken. The police are no longer obligated to protect and serve. The politicians no longer serve you and haven't for a while.
Well,
your country,
you can't brush everybody under the same brush, Sisco.
Your country.
There are some good cops. There are mostly bad cops.
I'm telling it like it is, by and large.
Maybe more bad cops. I'll agree with that.
Your country has been taken long before I'm saying it here. Walk as if you have no country. Walk as if only God exists in your life outside your family. Because outside of your family, that's all it does. You obey God's laws, not because a man tells you to, but because you know it's the right thing to do.
Basically, we gotta get back to values. You know? And that's a very strong point, and I thank you for making it. But I can't say nothing better than that, so I'm gonna leave it there. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and stay strong, prepare, find that higher power.